The vibrant city of San Francisco, a large crowd had gathered in front of a futuristic-looking auditorium. People of all ages and backgrounds buzzed with excitement as they waited for Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur behind SpaceX and Tesla, to take the stage. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden hue over the gathering, and there was a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. Among the throng of attendees was a boy named Noah, a bright-eyed 9-year-old holding a notebook filled with his scribbled questions about the universe, technology, and life. Noah had always been a curious child, fascinated by stories of space exploration and technological marvels. He had spent countless nights lying awake, staring up at the stars and wondering about the mysteries they held. His room was filled with posters of planets, rockets, and famous scientists, all of whom seemed to whisper to him that there was so much more to discover. But lately, he had been grappling with a question that felt much bigger than the galaxies he loved to study. His parents, devout Christians, often spoke about Jesus' teachings of love and compassion. Noah, however, was torn between his faith and his growing fascination with science, which seemed to explain the world in ways that didn't always align with the stories he'd been told in Sunday school. His parents were wonderful people, kind-hearted and always eager to support Noah's curiosity. But Noah could sense their discomfort when he started asking questions that challenged their traditional beliefs. "Why did God create the universe the way it is?" he had once asked, his small brow furrowed with confusion. His father, a man of faith, had smiled gently and replied, "The answers to those questions are bigger than our understanding, Noah. Sometimes we just have to trust in God's plan." But Noah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, a story that might not fit neatly within the confines of his Sunday school lessons. As he stood among the crowd in front of the auditorium, Noah's mind wandered. He thought about his questions, about the Big Bang, about evolution, about the possibility of life on other planets. His notebook was full of them, each one waiting for an answer, but he hadn't been able to find anyone who could give him the clarity he longed for. His heart raced as the crowd around him began to hush, signaling that the event was about to start. When the moment finally arrived, Elon Musk stepped onto the stage amidst roaring applause. The crowd cheered as he waved, a calm but confident figure in a simple black t-shirt and jeans. He began speaking about the future of humanity, colonizing Mars, renewable energy, and the promise of artificial intelligence. The audience was captivated, but Noah's heart pounded with anticipation. When it was time for questions, he raised his hand high, his small frame barely visible among the sea of adults. He knew this was his moment, the chance to ask the question that had been weighing on his mind for so long. Elon's gaze swept the room before settling on Noah. He smiled and pointed. "The young man over there, what's your question?" Noah's voice trembled with excitement as he stood up, clutching his notebook. He cleared his throat before speaking. "Mr. Musk," he began, his eyes wide with earnestness, "I've been wondering, when I look at the universe, its vastness, its complexity, its beauty, I feel a sense of wonder that's hard to put into words. For some, that wonder is connected to their faith, to their belief in a higher power like Jesus. For others, it's rooted in science, in understanding how things work. I guess my question is, can both of these things, faith and science, be true at the same time?" The auditorium fell silent. For a brief moment, Elon Musk stood still, his gaze softening as he processed Noah's question. Then, with a gentle smile, he began to speak. "You know, Noah," Elon said thoughtfully, "that's a question I think a lot of people wrestle with at some point in their lives. For me, I've always believed that science and faith aren't necessarily at odds. They're just different ways of trying to understand the same incredible universe." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. The crowd listened intently, and Noah's heart beat a little faster as he waited for the answer to the question that had been on his mind for so long. "Science," Elon continued, "answers the how. It explains the mechanics of the universe, the processes that shape the stars, the planets, the atoms, and the molecules. Science can tell us how life began, how it evolved, and how we can travel to Mars. But faith is about the why. It asks us why we're here, why we should care for one another, and why love and compassion matter. Faith gives us purpose, a sense of meaning in a world that can sometimes feel random and chaotic. Noah listened intently, his mind whirring as Elon spoke. It was as though a fog had begun to lift, and things that had once seemed so contradictory now felt like two sides of the same coin. He had spent so much time trying to reconcile his love for science with his belief in God, but now it seemed that maybe he didn't have to choose. Maybe both could coexist in harmony. Elon smiled warmly at Noah. "You see, Noah," he said, "both science and faith offer valuable insights into the world around us. They can complement each other, helping us understand both the physical world and the deeper questions of existence. One doesn't have to negate the other." Noah's eyes glistened with tears as he processed Elon's words. "So, it's okay to believe in both?" he asked quietly, almost as though he needed confirmation. Elon nodded gently, his voice soft but sure. "Yes, Noah. It's okay to believe in both. You don't have to choose between loving Jesus and loving science. They can work together, helping you understand not just the world around you, but also your place in it. It's a balance, and it's one that many people find comforting." Noah's heart swelled with relief. For the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace settle over him. The answer wasn't as simple as he had hoped, but it was more profound than he had ever imagined. Faith and science didn't have to be mutually exclusive. They could exist side by side, guiding him as he navigated the mysteries of the world. The room erupted into applause, but for Noah the moment felt deeply personal. Elon's words weren't just an answer. They were a bridge between the two worlds he had been struggling to reconcile. He wiped his tears and hurried back to his parents, who embraced him tightly. "You did something brave today, Noah," his mother whispered, her own eyes shining with emotion. "You asked a question that made everyone stop and think." Noah smiled up at her, feeling a warmth in his chest that he hadn't experienced in a long time. He had been carrying his question for so long, and now he had the answer he had been searching for. It felt like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. As the event continued, the atmosphere in the room felt different. Noah's simple yet profound question had touched a chord with everyone present, reminding them of the importance of curiosity, faith, and the pursuit of understanding. It wasn't just a question about science and religion, it was a question about how we seek answers to the biggest mysteries in life, and how those answers shape who we are. After the event, a journalist approached Noah and his parents. "That was a remarkable question you asked," she said, kneeling to meet Noah's gaze. "What inspired you to ask it?" Noah looked up at his parents, then back at the journalist. "I just wanted to know if it's okay to believe in science and Jesus at the same time," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "And Mr. Musk made me feel like it is." The journalist smiled and handed Noah a small notebook. "Here," she said, "use this to write down all your questions. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll be the one helping others find their answers." Noah's face lit up as he accepted the notebook. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with determination. It was a small gesture, but in that moment it felt like a big step forward on his journey of discovery. The notebook was a symbol of his curiosity, his desire to keep asking questions and finding answers, answers that would help him understand not just the world, but his place in it. That night, as Noah lay in bed, he gazed out his window at the stars. For the first time, they didn't seem quite so far away. They were no longer just distant points of light. They were a part of something much bigger, a part of the vast and beautiful universe that both science and faith sought to understand. Noah thought about Elon's words, about wonder and faith, and felt a sense of peace settle over him. He didn't have all the answers yet, but he knew the journey to find them would be an incredible adventure. And that was enough for now. His mother peeked into his room, smiling at the sight of her son deep in thought. "Good night, my little explorer," she said softly. Noah turned to her, his voice sleepy but content. "Good night, Mum. Tomorrow I'm going to write down more questions." She chuckled and kissed his forehead. "And I'll be here to help you find the answers."